Welcome to the Money Down. We got a very special guest on here tonight. We got my trainer, my dog, Adam Boily on here, man. It's been a long time coming. We'll get into the complete athlete. We'll get into that for sure, man. Appreciate you jumping on here tonight with us.
Of course, man. Of course, bro. You're one of the best, and I'm so happy for you and your podcast, and you guys still grinding and working. And I couldn't think of a better podcast to be on, to be honest with you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate that, man. But for the people who don't know, man, let them know what you do for a living, where you work at, kind of promote yourself to start this thing.
Yeah. So for the last 17 years, I specialize in training the best athletes in the world. So what I like to say is we build complete athletes. That's our thing. So, I went to school for a while for this and kind of worked my way up through the industry and just gained a lot of experience and ended up putting together a system that I call the complete athlete system, or the System 8. And, that's what we've been doing for a while now. And that's what we specialize in. So we just train athletes and that's it. So
I want to ask you, Adam, has it always been that was the goal? Like you wanted to train athletes, or like how did you come upon like, you know what, this is what I want to do and I'm gonna put my all into it and I'm gonna get to it?
I've always been athletic, but not like you guys, right? So you're not like you guys, right? So like I've been athletic, so I've been around athletics, and went to school for it because hey, if you can't do it, if you can't play the sport, then maybe you could coach it, right? So I had like a basketball coach tell me that in high school. Hey, you might not be able to play, but you coach it, and so that's kind of what I went into, and then I wanted to stay around athletics and. My good friend at the time, hey, what are we going to do? So, I was in Fort Myers when I graduated high school, and Florida Gulf Coast University was right there. So, they had a great, back in the day it was called human performance. Now it's exercise science. I like human performance better. But it was, they had that program was really good, and it could keep me around athletics. And I knew that it was something I could be good at. And so that's kind of what got me started down that path.
Where does the System 8 come from? What's that about? How did you come up with that?
So I came up with that because I gotta have my nerd spin on things. As far as like I say, the human performance, right? So like you got 12 systems, but I chose the 8 that you can actually isolate and put a plan together to enhance. And my thing was, if I can enhance those 8 systems, then I can build the complete athlete. Mm-hmm. And so that was my vision in the beginning. And then to do that, I know I needed to have a facility or a campus in which I could have all those different elements in one place, one-stop shop type of thing. So then I can ensure that I can get those results for the athletes. And that's what eventually led to the facility I'm at now. FGC and back to FGCU, that program was so good, and it was called Human Performance, like I said, and that was so good. It was the classes were really hard. They were like very science intensive, and at the time you're like, oh man, this is hard, whatever. And we did cadavers, dead body tests, pins on different muscles, and we did the whole deal. And I didn't realize how good it was until I got actually into the field and started doing my internships, where I realized how more prepared I was than everybody else. Every other intern at every other major university you could think of, I was prepared, if not just same prepared or more prepared most of the time than a lot of them. And then that combined with my athletic background and then just being a fast learner, learning from mistakes real fast, I was able to excel into this industry as an unpaid intern, leading some of the best athletes that you could think of on planet Earth, especially in the NFL realm, right away. So that's kind of like how that school prepared me the best, And then I continued on with my master's too. I continued on with my master's at Barry University because I knew that I wanted to take it as far as I could. And I always was really good at the biomechanics, like, angles and forces and what that means. And 3D cameras and things like that. So I went to Barry. They had a really good program for sports biomechanists with specialization in movement science. And so it was perfect for where I knew I wanted to go in the athletic realm as far as as far as coaching. And so I did that, and the good thing of the one thing about me that was unique, that's kind of rare, is, and I tell this, I just got done speaking at FGCU just recently too, and I told the students this, is that you guys are going to learn all the science, you're going to learn all the best kind of like anatomy and all that biomechanics and things, but what's going to make you the best coach, in my opinion, is the one who can translate that into real life. So take all the knowledge you have and all the science and all that kind of stuff that you have, and can you get Sweet Feet to do that? Can you get Sojourn? Can you get Melvin? Can you get JT to do what you know they should be doing from what the science says? Can you get an athlete to actually do that? And that's the hard part there. But it's just something that I would fail fast and fail often on, and I figured out very quickly, and that's kind of what it scaled me so fast to have success or early on and consistently throughout my career, was the ability to get athletes to do what I know they should be doing for the science.
Yeah, feel that.
You kind of talked about the grind, man. 17 years in it, going to school. I mean, I kind of thought about getting into that space once I retired. Then I talked to you about it a little bit. You talked about how you went to school and did all that. That kind of scared me away because it takes a lot of time, which I get it, man. That's why you're so good at what you do versus which we'll get into it a little bit. There's guys that are trainers, just kind of jump into it, just because they played the sport or they did this and that or they know somebody. We'll get into that down the road. But whenever somebody comes on our podcast, we call it the Money Down. We talk about money down moments where, people feel like, there's a moment in your life where you feel like you had to bet on yourself. I mean, I kind of have a guess of the money down moment for you, but I would love for you to explain your money down moment in your life where you feel like you went all in, had to bet on yourself to help you get to where you are right now.
Okay. So, yeah, So, so I had.
You don't have to say any names. You don't have to do it.
No. I talked to some people too. I was like, man, you know what? It's part of my story, so it just is what it is, right? And I've always wanted to have a moment to share my story the way that that has been untold. And untold details, and what really is going on, and what a perfect place with you guys. So, but
let's get it.
But so yeah, my two internships. When you come out of college, you get two internships, and they were great. And my one internship was at Broward General Hospital, and ended up building out their weight room. And the guy that was running their rehab program and all the surgeons that I knew, they kind of referred me to a business that was kind of like going through changes, and that's what led me into the sports performance. And it brought me to a company that had just gone out of business, but then now we have this new trainer that's coming up, and that's kind of where I did my internship with, and like I mentioned earlier, and it just excelled really well. So right away I was offered a job and to work there and to kind of be part of that NFL lockout in 2011, 2010, 2011, where at the time we were the only performance business really down here that was really doing it. So, I mean, we had 100 NFL guys a day over there, coming in and going through every name that you could ever know of was down, right? And so, that put me, gave me a lot of good experience while I was still getting my master's, like I said. And throughout the years, this industry is a lot of butting heads and a lot of egos and things. And I was fortunate to come up through that company with a lot of great coaches as well. In my opinion, what made that company work so well, especially at that moment, was all the great coaches. And so, and I want to mention those guys too later, but so throughout the years, getting into, building my experience and kind of building trust of athletes trusting me and learning different systems about this guy did it, how this guy did it, going all the way back to the source of Lawrence Seagrave and Louis Simmons, and learning the strength and the power and the conjugate methods and potentiation. And in my opinion, some of the world's best speed work from Lawrence Seagrave out of IMG way back in the day, whereas all the speed work that you could ever know that I ever did is where it all came from. So just learning and building my experience. Anyways, so I have a track record. I have a lot of respect from athletes because I've always put athletes first, and I was never never me. I've never been marketed myself much, and I'm really bad at marketing my business too. I just always, I just always been coaching, and just that's what I like to do, and that's what I was good at. So I built up a reputation, and over the years, athletes were wanting me to start my own business and things like that. And I never did. I was always loyal to where I was coming up from. But eventually it just got to where attention was so high that it was time for a change. And when I was coming out, there's button heads and things like that, and everyone knows what's going to happen. And, he ended up firing me after, I don't know what it was, 7 years, something like that, 7 years. And, this is after me trying to leave multiple times and him begging me to stay and all this kind of stuff, right? I mean, it was to the point where, I can't work here. I need to go somewhere else. And so that's why we ended up, I don't know if you know why we had the new 2 facilities and stuff like that, was to get me to go run this other place with a couple of coaches so we didn't have to be over there, and then ended up being a competition, me and Frank Gore were talking about it today, and it'd be a competition where, we, hey, us versus them, and, and you were part of that group too, and all that success. And so that tension led to whatever. So boom, fired, because I want to do my thing. He's got some other vision, and okay, fine, fired. So then I said, okay, let me sit back. Let me take some time off and think about, what I want to do. I know I'm good at this. I know I can train athletes at the highest level, and I can put that against any trainer of athletes in the world. And so I said, okay, I'm going to do my business. It's always what I wanted to do. I've always had the kind of entrepreneurial thing. So I just sat back, formulated a plan, found a facility, and started my business. So that's where what do you call it? Money down, put the money down and bet on myself. And that's one thing I've never had a problem doing, is betting on myself. When I evaluate situations of taking risk and things, I always go to the most extreme high and say, hey, if I do this and I risk it all and it works, what's the advantage I can get? What's the payoff I can get? Are you okay with that? And then I go the other extreme and say, if I put everything on this and it fails, are you okay with the bottom? And the bottom would have been homeless, no money, no job, no nothing, right? And for me, you kind of know me, Sweet Feet. I'm not material. I'm not anything. I was perfectly fine going homeless. I swear. I was perfectly fine the bottom, and I'm perfectly fine if it works out. So it kind of made my decision real easy to just go all in and start my business regardless of what I knew was to come.
You talk about it, right? Like you were okay with the results if it didn't work out how you wanted it to, but in hindsight, even like years later, right? You spreading apart from that company, it does work out. So what's the rewarding feeling like for yourself? Like I said, I know you're not materialistic because I know you, Adam, but what reward feeling did you get from, seeing it from ground zero on your own to like it actually becoming system 8, you getting the players in, you getting like everything is what it was there, but now it's your whole deal?
It was probably the same feeling that when you guys bet on yourself and when you made it to NFL and you made it to the Super Bowl and did all those things and you bet on yourself, it's probably the same feeling, right? It's one of like, almost like freedom. Like, okay, there's when you're okay with the top and the bottom, I feel like it's the most free you can be. And then when it works out, it's almost when it works out, okay, great, it works out, I was right. And then for me, it's just keep going, right? It's like, okay, do it again, and just kind of see how far I can push it. But the feeling was freedom, validation, that I could do this, and then not having to years later worry about what ifs and regrets and that kind of thing, because that's the stuff that destroys you and really keeps you up at night, and that's not something that I was going to let happen. I'm cool doing that then. I'm cool doing the same thing now. So
what's a piece of advice that you would give someone else who's looking to start their business, whether it be, sports, or, sports medicine, or, an athletic facility, whatever it may be, obviously that's why we do the Money Down Moment, because we want to share with other listeners and viewers, man. What's a piece of advice that you would give someone who's looking to start, or afraid to start, or worried about, those lows and, not being able to make it? What's something you would tell them?
You have to be okay with the bottom. You have to be okay with the top, and you can't worry about something that's never happened yet, and you don't know if it's going to happen. And if you really want success, and you really want the result that you want to get to, you first of all, you have to enjoy the process. So you can't go based on your results. You have to enjoy the process. One thing for me, I always enjoy was the process. So that was one thing I had to double down on it. But the failure of mistakes is you can't worry about the mistakes. You can't worry. What I say is fail often and fail forward. Meaning there's only one problem with failure and only one problem with making mistakes, is if you didn't learn from it.
Yeah.
If you make a mistake and you don't learn from it and you keep making the same mistake again, that's the problem. But if you make a mistake or you fail, or not even fail, you can change the word, whatever. It's not necessarily a failure. It's just, okay, everyone makes mistakes. But if you don't learn from that mistake, then that is the real issue. So that's why people should be failing often and failing as many times as they can, because when you make that failure and you take that next step, and let's just say it didn't go good and you failed, if you learn from it, you're now better than you were before. And let's just say, comparison's the killer of all joy, but let's just say you're competing against some other people. We're all competitive. The person who is scared to make that decision and not make that choice, you're farther along than him because he hasn't made that mistake yet. So he hasn't learned what you learned. So your knowledge is way more than the next guy that was afraid to make the mistake. I could imagine, like, James, what you was thinking on, on that goal line, Tom's handing it off and it's the Super Bowl and you're going in for a game-winning thing. You're thinking, well, shit, they got me at the 3-yard line. No, I got to push it to the next thing, and whatever happens. It could be a fumble, it could be this, it could be that, who knows? But you're gonna give it all you can and be okay with the result,
No, 100%. You kind of talked about that process, man. I got to see almost the entire process of how you got to where you are, man. And like Soj talked about it a little bit, but right when things were kind of going well for you in one spot, then it kind of went downhill, really drastically for you. Some, like I said, people shall remain nameless, but people kind of sneak in behind your back and take what you have going for yourself, and then you end up back almost on ground zero once again. So how do you handle, like the ups and downs of all of that?
Yeah, so that's part of the story, right? So risking it, getting fired, risking it, say I'm going to do what I'm going to do, doing it, clearing out, the athletes trust me. It just is what it is. And I'm for a reason, because I've never done wrong by anybody. And I've always been so appreciative of guys like you trusting me with your careers, especially in the off season, to help you stay injury free, play longer, make more money, get more success. And so, starting my own business, doing that, it come with the challenges because, I was being sued. I was being sued by the guy I helped build the company for 7 years. And, okay, there was many opportunities to just make a friendly deal. And let's just make a deal where we can work together and all that kind of stuff. But no, like I said, the ego, and it's the reason we're in that place, in that predicament in the first place. So boom, going through that now right away, not only am I having the success of, okay, now I got 40, 50 NFL guys at my own place doing my own thing now, and everything's going good at this new facility, but I'm also in the background kind of dealing with that. And so, I kind of have to, just go along with the flow and kind of deal with both things at the same time, which is fine. I'm definitely not afraid of the pressure or hard work or anything, but it's just another piece of the thorn. So I mentioned that because when I go to my new facility, I want to build a team around me that can help facilitate my systems of growing complete athletes. And many therapists and many people contacted me of, hey, can I come join your system? Because Can I come be a part of this? Can I come work for you at your facility and provide physical therapy or chiro or whatever it may be? And I said no to a lot of people because a lot of times when they say they want to help you, they don't really want to help you. They just want to use me to get to the athlete exposure and kind of get the publicity for themselves, to hype themselves up and get the clout for themselves of being around, professional athletes. And I've always been very protective of that, from camera guys to this and that. Like, no, you can't come around me if that's the goal, because that's not my goal. So I finally said yeah to a guy who actually worked at the other company, and we had to have, because of the lawsuit and everything, I can't really do deals and contracts and things the way I need to keep everybody in line the way you would normally do business. You know what I mean? So I had a handshake agreement of how things are going to go. And this day and age, with these scammers and fraudsters, that handshake doesn't mean anything, right? It doesn't.
Right.
On my end, it meant what it meant, but on the other end, it didn't. It rarely means what it means, what it's supposed to mean. So over the years of building this facility up and new fields and world-class weight room and just having everything that I want to build for my complete athlete thing, having all the athletes come in and achieve success and everything like that, people want to see what I'm doing. They want to see how I'm running the speed. They want to see how I'm running the strength. And I was in a vulnerable position of having to deal with all this kind of stuff. And I was very honest, with my athletes about what was going on too. I have nothing to hide ever. I have nothing to hide now. I never have anything to hide. It just is what it is, right? And I know people can learn from it. That's why I talk about it. And so I was very honest with the athletes of what's going on. So everybody like James and all my guys that, they see I'm pouring into them, they kind of looked out for me and made sure that I was going to be good. And so that kind of, guy was just wanting to peep what I was doing and eventually have his long plan of snaking his way through and ruining relationships. So I always say the quote of not everybody wants to be on your team. They just want to see the playbook. And I know that resonates with athletes. Yes. Not everybody wants to be on the team. They just want to see your playbook. And that was this exact scenario. And so they want to monkey see, monkey do. They want to see what Adam's doing. They want to see the speed work I'm doing and the strength work I'm doing, not knowing that I've learned from the source of all those kind of things. And that these other kind of people who are doing the monkey see, monkey do, it's secondhand. They don't know the why of I chose that drill. They don't know why I put that drill with that drill in that order. They don't know why I canceled that order or modified this drill for sweep feed coming off of whatever it was coming off of. Like, they don't know why I did that kind of stuff, which is where the art is of coaching and building complete athletes. So I'll talk about that later when we talk about scam trainers of how I see they're doing it, how I see they're doing a disservice. They're doing a disservice to the athletes, and I don't like it. So if I don't like it, I'm going to say it, right? But anyway, so that relationship, I can see what's going on. I can listen to my athletes' feedback. I know what's happening in my facility. I kind of peep it. And for me, at no tolerance, right? So I go confront these people. I say, hey, here's what's going on. I know what you're doing. You're going behind my back. You're kind of doing this kind of thing. And it's over. Like, just bounce, get out. Well, I have no grounds to say get out because the handshake, right? And so now the facility I'm in is kind of used to having everybody around, and they got a lease over here, and they got a lease with me, and everybody's doing their own side deals and side conversations, and it's just getting real messy to where I have no control about what I know is the right thing to do, but I can't control anything to make sure that it happens, and it was really frustrating for me. And so, I could go on a long story about that, but just to kind of wrap it up of how I, like you say, get to where, again, lawsuit come trying to take me down and really trying to take the athletes down. I'm not doing anything but just coaching athletes and helping athletes down. And then this other guy coming in and scamming and trying to ruin a relationship of just me trying to help athletes. I'm not even like, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to make a living getting paid to train athletes. That's literally all I'm doing. It's not like anything other ulterior motives. And, these other guys got ulterior motives because they think that the only way to get those big time clients, the only way to get to the top like that is to scam their way up. They don't know all the years of hard work and the science and staying true to the game. They don't That's the hard way to do it. The hard way to do it is to stay true to the game. It's not sexy. You can't post it on social media. It's not going to get you a lot of followers. But the only thing it's going to get you is the respect from the athletes because of the results. And in my mind, it's word of mouth. And that's the only way I've ever been able to get athletes was word of mouth. That Sweet Feet tells Melvin. Melvin tells James White, or tells JT. JT tells Julius Davis and JT tell Braylon. It's the whole, that's the only reason I've ever gotten clients is only word of mouth that, hey, this guy, you're going to work, but he's going to stay true to it and not going to scam you. So back to the thing, it's all getting messy. Problems are going on. And then we go kind of right into COVID, right? So COVID, I have no control about this facility. COVID happens, shut down. Can't go into your weight room. Can't go into your field. Can't operate your business. Now me, I have my own beliefs about COVID, right? Hey, Sweet Feet, you guys know. I said, don't get it. I said, don't get it. I did. Don't get it. I'm not getting it. I don't think anybody, we're not masking, put no mask on. We're not doing any of that stuff. I remember that because I got it. Like right away. And I'm like, man, this thing wasn't nothing. I just slept through it. I was like, y'all don't get it, right? And I hear the pressure of the teams and you can't play and can't practice. Okay, then give me another bus. I'm just like, okay, I'll go practice somewhere else. That's my mentality, but I understand that, it's different when you're kind of in there and I'm not in your shoes. So that's just me from an outsider giving whatever advice for it. So anyway,
slept through it.
I just slept through it. Couple sweats. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm good.
Hey.
But lay in the sun, I'm good,
Sweat it off.
Sweat it off, man. But, so now I can't get into my facility, right? So I can't get into my facility. I can't coach my athletes. We're all bouncing from park to park trying to make things happen. I see this therapist pulling athletes this way to some, scam he's got going on over here. And this footwork guru over here is popping up in the park and everything. Everybody's going everywhere sideways. And I realized that if I'm going to continue on this goal, that this can't happen again, bro. With this lack of control and not being able to execute what I need to execute, and all of a sudden someone just says you can't go to your weight room, and it can't happen again. So while I'm trying to help athletes and coach at the same time and doing stuff out of the garage, I had all my, I had some equipment in the garage. I had a Pro Bowler out of that. Oh, JT first Pro Bowl out of that garage. So I'm okay. I'm gonna use this time. I forget. I remember who someone posted. I think Darius Butler posted something on Instagram or whatever. He's like, hey, you're not using this downtime to make yourself better or read that book or start that business you're waiting on, then you're missing the boat right here, and you need to get on it right now. This is the time. So I was okay. This might be the perfect opportunity for me to learn, how to really take my business to the next level and read books and watch and kind of just work on, that side of the business side of myself. And so that's what I did. I read and I listened to really smart people. And they say, one of the main goals of starting a business is to own real estate, right? If you're going to start selling cookies or making sandwiches or smoothies or construction or replace roofs or whatever business you have, your business should be designed around making money so you can buy real estate. That's how I learned it, right? So it's okay. I have a business. We're making some money. We're kind of getting through all this other stuff we're doing. I got some chips saved up because like I said, I don't spend money on anything. I just never, ever spend money. I said, I got some chips saved up and let me go ahead and learn this. So drove around, researched, hey, I need to find a building. Ended up coming out here to West Pembroke Pines and found this building. And it was just some paint shop, they did like pumps and just weird stuff, right? But it was big enough. I said, I could put the turf there. I could put my medical room there. I could put this here, my weight room here. And I talked to the person. I ended up knowing one of the realtors because I coached his son, it's just a small world, right? And I ended up just kind of realtoring it almost by myself. and just because I already knew their realtor, so it was kind of like that friendly thing. And I just said, boom, I'm in. How much? All right, boom. Took all my chips again and slid them over there. All of it. Every single dime I had. Everything I had saved up, all the athletes paying me for training, all that kind of stuff. I just took all them chips and I just moved it right over there. And I did the same thing again. I said, what's the best that can happen? And what's the worst that can happen? And I looked at my wife at the time. I said, hey, the worst that can happen is we're homeless again. I say, right? It's funny when I first thought about that, right? I was at the beach when I'm thinking, okay, what if I was homeless? What if I was? And I'm looking. I'm not bullshit. And look, I say, okay. So I'm looking at the beach, right? I see they got the shower coming out. You can rinse yourself. I say, check. All right, check. There's a shower. Hey, check, right? I say, there's some work I could do around here somewhere on these restaurants. I could do something, right? I'll make some change and I'll make it right back. But look, I got the sun, the ocean, and a shower.
You good?
Good.
He said, I'm good.
Good. I really think that. I still think that to this day. Like, sometimes I think about it. I'm like, I might go try that.
Just a weekend trip. That's your vacation. A weekend vacation.
No, man, but
I did want to say this though before you go, James. So from the outside, right? Like obviously James and Mel put me onto you. So just hearing the story now, obviously, like we said, we're not gonna go into names, but I was appalled because the stuff you were saying, it all connect. Like I can see now where it connect at. You get what I'm saying? So that's crazy to me that that's how it all. Just everything that formulated there is how it all happened, man. That's a crazy story, bro. It's crazy.
To this day, too. To this day.
That's crazy.
Deontay Wilder.
Let my dog live.
And on top of it, like, right, you talked about, like you said, you go get into it as far as the scam training, but I really see that shit on the Instagram from that Instagram is like now hearing it from you say like you don't know why you've got James or JT to do X, Y, and Z and, why not to get injured or however the case is. And some of the stuff that is posted, it's just like, bro, I don't want to, like, try not to curse a lot on the pod, but it is bullshit, but it is for the clout, though. So it just was crazy to me how everything just really just pieced in piece, as you was telling the story, and I see it, bro.
And I'll say first, James, back to your comment about the names. I can name names if I want to. And I'll tell you why I say that, because when I was going through that lawsuit and everything, it's not like I lost the lawsuit and kind of went away. I bought myself out of the agreement to continue to do what I needed to do. And so part of that deal was the people involved didn't want this story to come out. They didn't want this story told. And on the piece of paper, it said, non-disclosure, will not talk about this both ways forever. And I put the red line right through it. And I said, that's a non-starter. That's the end of this deal. That's not happening. Because I will say it one day of what, not pity. I'm not pitying. I'm just saying for people to know the real story, to talk on my name, I'm going to say it one day when I'm ready now. And that's not going to happen. So take that line out, because I will say it one day. So I could if I want to. But like you said, I don't want to tarnish this podcast with losers' names.
Hey, but you know what though? You always say when something outside of what you're doing is going wrong, that means you're doing something right. So hats off to you, man, and being able to weather that storm, bro, because there's a lot of people out there that, really envy what you're doing, right? And you can't, as they say, man, you got it out the mud, bro. You came from the bottom twice, and so to be able to, like, not a lot of people can stand that fire, right? And so being living proof of being able to put your money where your mouth is, bet on yourself, and have success like you're doing, man, hats off to you, bro, because like I said, that's not a lot of people can do that, man. It takes a special type of person to be able to sit in that and continue to fight for, what they know is right, what they believe in, and keep their name clean, man. So like I said, hats off to you, because being able to work out with you a couple times, I know that ain't bullshit.
No,
I know it ain't. I'm gonna tell you, if you're listening right now, bro, he got the real, he got the sauce. So
I still remember to this day, and I got a picture of it. It was me, James, Mel, and it was John Brown, Smoke, right? And we worked out early. I'm talking about Warren, early morning. 6.
bro.
Mind you, this is a time we was playing video games till like 3 in the morning. Like, bro, it was bad, right? So, I'm thinking, all right, I can go out here and I might get, bullshit it a little bit. But I can get through it. Man, Adam broke us with sleds, bro. It was just like 4 sleds. It wasn't nothing crazy. It wasn't all this. It wasn't no crazy. It was 4 sleds, bro. Broke off, bro. Went home,
bro,
went to
sleep. Bro, when I tell you, but I hadn't worked, bro. It was bro. You remember when I was in Miami for like 2 months?
It was COVID time.
It was COVID, bro. I hadn't worked out. I hadn't played since like 2015. And I'm like, man, I got to get in shape. I got to do something. So James like, man, just come with me. So he took me to like a month, hooked me up. Adam hooked me up. Bro, broke me off. 5 a.m., 6 a.m. running, bro. I was like, I don't do this no more, man. But I ain't going to lie to you, bro. Looking back on it, bro, like, I really wish when I was going through training and things like that, I was with you. Because just seeing your vision that you have for athletes, the relationship that you build with the athletes, James, speaking on your behalf and all that stuff. And you being able to, like I said, put your money where your mouth is, bro. You train a lot of athletes, and that's because of the time and the effort and how much you care about them. So, man, I was looking back like, man, I should have did this shit back in 2015. The fuck was I doing? And no offense to the place that I went to, they did amazing work, but I felt like it was a difference. It was a complete difference from the month I spent there with you, and then the draft prep and all that stuff that I did when I was in a different location. So
you can thank Giovanni Bernard, and Snoopy for that 6 a.m. They loved that.
They did. I don't know. I'm like, that hour made a difference.
It did.
It really was for the heat. You gotta escape that heat, man.
Bro, it was still hot. Bro, what you mean? True. Sweat out there on that turf, running.
Adam, I know you don't live for like the recognition, but how annoying does it have to be when you see, because the NFL, every offseason, you see, I would like to say, not say a name, but you see it every offseason. So crazy. So get posted in your weight room. How bad is
doing some? And I'm not trying doing some bullshit
today. You talking about today?
Oh, it was today. I didn't see today.
You didn't see today? Oh my God! Look, today. If you look at NFL today, they did it.
Oh man!
But look, it's fine. It's fine. Give the credit. I mean, give the credit because like I say, we put a lot of pride into making sure that the stuff we put out is a representation of the best when it comes to training. And I feel like when the NFL reposts these videos, that they should have kind of they should have some kind of diligence where they kind of vet, someone to say, hey, does this make sense? Is this like a scam? Is this stupid training? Is this good training? Because all the kids are going to see it, and all the other trainers and everybody else that's kind of coming up and learning, they're going to see that like immediately and say, okay, maybe I should be doing that stuff. And it's like, no, not all the time it's like that, because some of the best training is not the stuff they want to post, because it's not going to be the best clicks.
Yeah, no. All right, man. Let's get to the nuts and bolts, man. So what do you like? I mean, obviously, anybody can be a trainer these days. Anybody can be a trainer. I could go to the park. I can start training kids right now. And say, on IG, I'm a trainer. Boom. What do you call a legit trainer like these days in this day and age? Because like I said, you can come by them a dime a dozen.
I think that you need, if you're going to say you're a trainer, okay, if you're going to say you train athletes, then in my opinion, you should, one, have a mentor that has successfully trained the athletes that you want to train. And that's going to put you on the path, not just to duplicate what they did, but to learn where they learned from, and then learn where they've learned from, to get to the source, learn the exact kind of stuff you need to learn, and then you can put your own flair on it while staying true to the science, and not not divvying away just to get the marketing credits and just to get the clout and just for social media type stuff. Train the athletes to get them better because you want to train them to get them better. That's the only reason I think that you should be involved in training athletes. But what I see, that's not what I see. Probably a lot of the time, that's not what I see. I see trainers doing whatever they can to get a professional athlete to walk into their facility or to somehow trust them to train them in whatever off season they have. And what I mean by whatever they can is, for everyone that very easily can understand, is for free. I will train you for free. And that's a scam to me because I've never really done that. I've never really done that. Maybe I wasn't the craziest highest, I wasn't the lowest, but I always had to get paid to train because this is all I did. I train athletes for money. Some people sell things, shoes for money. Some people, they give advice for money. I train athletes for money. That's all I've ever done was train athletes for money. So I had to get paid or else I couldn't train athletes anymore. And so when I see a guy saying, okay, I'm going to do anything I can to get the pro athlete, I'm going to train him for free. I don't think that's very good for both the athlete and the coach, because if you're training this athlete for free, especially a pro athlete, it's going to demand a lot of your attention, or at least it should. So you're going to devote a good chunk of your day to that, which means you're not making money somewhere else. So, and everybody knows, if I'm getting paid over here for this job and I'm doing this job for free, which job am I going to put more effort and attention into? Not the free one.
Yeah.
That one that's getting me money. And so, therefore, if the athlete is free, just by nature, not even malicious or whatever, just by the nature of how things should be going, is you're not going to put all the attention into that athlete to make him better because it's free. And so I think that's a scam, at least for the athlete thing. Now, if you made a deal, you get Tom Brady or you get someone in your facility, someone that, can – first, you would never get that person anyway unless you had Sweet Feet or everybody else around him even suggesting you to get someone like that, right? I trained everybody around Tom, and I still ain't never met Tom. And so, it's like one of the things. But my point is, if he walks in your facility, okay, and he says, can you train me for a day? And you say, okay, I'll train you in exchange for an Instagram post or a shout out. Okay, I can see that going, but as far as like training athletes for months and times, and the only way you can get athletes is if you train them for free, then in my opinion, you don't train athletes. That's because that's my opinion. If you're not getting paid to do it, then you don't really do it.
No, I can respect that. And another question, you built a lot of great relationships over the years, of course. Where's a cool place or event that, these relationships that have allowed you to get to or go to?
Okay. I've been with some athletes that have taken me places. A lot of times I kind of didn't even want to go. I remember one time, I don't know if you remember Sweet Pea, but like when to LA, right? So like it was me and Juice, Juice, my brother Juice, trained Jarvis his whole career. I don't know, you can see it right there. Right, so first Pro Bowl jersey right there. So, Juice, my brother, and everything like that. So he said, "Hey, we're gonna go to LA and kind of go out there with Odell and Baker and kind of do the whole training for a week." And I said, and that was in the heat of off-season training where I have all my guys at my facility right now. So I can't leave. You know what I mean? I can't leave the guys. And I remember I went to everybody and I was like, "Yo, are you cool if I just?"
We were snapping.
Yeah, I was like, "Yo, are you cool if I just, slide out?" Because if y'all say like, "Hey, no, we want to keep grinding," then I would have stayed or whatever. But y'all was like, "No, go get your money, go do what you got to do," and you was cool, and I had everything, kind of taken care of while I was gone for a couple of days. So, that's one scenario when we went out to LA. That was kind of cool with Juice and them. I've been, and even Juice, like we've been to Puerto Rico and different things. So, he's already been a good one for me. Even like my baseball guys, like some of the MLB guys I trained, Eduardo Escobar was a good client of mine. First time I ever trained him was a really good off season. And then in that first year I trained him, that was his first year All-Star. That after that off season, he got his first All-Star game after that. And so we went to Punta Cana, Cap Cana, and Dominican. I lived out there for a month, with him and just training on the beach and kind of doing that whole deal, and that was kind of coming out of COVID too. So it wasn't like everybody was in the facility yet. So that ended up working out. I would say the baseball academy as well with down in Venezuela, Carlos Guillen's baseball academy with his son Alfonso. And they have one of the biggest baseball academies in the world. So I would go to Venezuela a lot. I mean, I've been to Venezuela, 30 times. I've lived down there for months at a time. And, so that's a really beautiful country, jungles and just wild and the oceans and everything like that. So that was really cool to get down there and see that. So I've been some places like that.
No, that's dope. That's dope, man.
Yeah.
We appreciate you, Adam, coming on here, man, getting to promote yourself a little bit. I know you don't promote yourself that much, but we'll promote you.
We're gonna do it for you.
I'll always speak on your behalf. Like you talked about, like JT brought Braylon. I hit Braylon up today on IG. I was like, yeah, good. Work with Adam. Like, he's gonna get you right.
Yeah.
That's the little stuff that matters. See Breece Hall in there. You'll help get him better. Like, it's those little things. You see Frank Gore still training. That's my dog. I don't know why he's training.
Come on.
We got to talk about Frank. We got to talk about Frank.
Working hard, too.
We can't end it unless we talk about my uncle.
Yeah, got to talk about Frank. Man. Longest tenure client.
Because, I was talking to him about it today, like back in the day when you were coming out, draft prep, after your draft prep, you coming out at the facility we were at in Davie and Frank coming over there because his thing was I want to be able to keep up with the young guys, and you were the young guy, and Gio was the young guy, young Lamar Miller. That was Wes Welker down there. That was young Jarvis and young Odell coming in, all these kind of guys. And he said, if I could keep up with these guys at least one step right there with them, then I know I can still play. And he's always been that way. And so you were a part of his success too, because pushing each other. Right. And that was a big thing that we had with all the success of complete athlete running backs that we've had. And, the list is long, and everybody I think ended up being very successful, and I'm very happy about that. And so, but it was always that group of pushing each other and holding people accountable. Yo, you late, you missed the warm up, or yo, it has 2 days in a row you missed, and that whole kind of deal there is what I think made you guys successful. And for sure help Frank, but it goes both ways because you're relying on his work ethic and everything to kind of show you the path of how to become the third best running. Well, number one, maybe best running back, but third all time on the rushing yards. But being addicted to that work, and like I said earlier, Frank is definitely someone who loves the process, and when you love the process, the result's just going to come. By circumstance, it's going to come because it's going to come because you put the work into the universe and deserved it. And so, someone like Frank with the 2 ACLs coming out of college before he even got to NFL and then going 17 years is just the ultimate example of how to be the most complete athlete out there. And it's because he loved the process and he always loved the work. And you can always play as long as you want. You can always do whatever you want as long as you want to work. And love that work process, you can do whatever you want to do. And that's why, even though he's retired, he's still out there demoing. I'm the demo king. Now, I demo any exercise, but Frank is right there with me. I call him Demo Prince. Now, you demo too, And I love bouncing. Me and Frank bounce ideas all the time, man. He's like really coaching with me now, and like I love it. And so and now he's out there leading off the group and showing them the exercises that work the best for him, and just kind of steering this generation into the right direction of getting away from this scam stuff and all this kind of guru, balance and this and that and all this made up stuff that has no science merit, and people don't know the things behind the scenes of what those things actually cause and the kind of detriment that it did to athletes, and especially some of the athletes that we know. It kind of makes guys go down. So Frank resetting that along with kind of our system is just, I think it's the perfect match. And he's, as you can see, taking this younger generation and bringing it back in. I say that in the coaching world, we're kind of the last of a dying breed. Frank is the last of a dying breed. There'll never be I don't think there's ever going to be another Frank like that works like that. But if I can keep preaching it and you guys can keep preaching it and Frank can still keep doing this, he's going to take some of these young guys, these young running backs, and really show them the way how to play for 17 years. And he can keep that kind of breed going, in my opinion. And so I love Frank.
Yeah, Frank that dude, man. So if y'all in South Florida, man, make sure y'all go to the System 8. Check out my guy Adam, man. He will get you right, especially if you're in the league, in college, trying to get to the league, high school, wherever you're at. Check out my guy, man. I promise you'll get instant results. Instant, too. I promise you.
And you gonna work.
Yeah. Don't come down here if you think you're not gonna work. But not just stupid work where I'm trying to make you tired. Like you got to show up. It's the consistency, the 5 days a week, and there's no car trouble, and no phone, none of that stuff. Like, just you got to buy into the system. It's not come down here for 3 days and then all of a sudden you make it to the Pro Bowl and you're MVP of the Falcons Super Bowl game. Like that's not you, motherfucker. You don't just get that from just a week of training or whatever. But no, I appreciate you, and I just want to say to you and all the athletes that I've ever coached, I'm going to keep talking about this, and I say this to everybody, and every single one of my athletes already know this, but I appreciate you guys trusting me through my journey of, kind of going through the ups and downs and sticking with me when you didn't have to, and trusting me and my passion. I appreciate that, and that's the reason I have what I have today, and, I wouldn't trade that experience for anything, so.
Real, man. Appreciate you always.
Appreciate it, brother.
I gotta get back down to South Florida. Come check you out. I still haven't seen the new facilities. I gotta come check you out, man.
Hey, break him off too, fam. Break him off.
I'm already broke, man. My hip broke.
Oh man, that's fat ass lineman, boy. Calling on my dog out there. Come get your ass in this Morosco ice tank, man.
I know you got all that fancy stuff now. I gotta come check it out.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, though. Appreciate you, big dog.
Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you, dude. Thank you, guys.